If she treats you just like a friend, but somehow you're always on her mind, that's not accidental. That's emotional gravity. Today, I'm going to show you 7 undeniable signs she's secretly into you, even while acting completely friendly. And once you see these patterns, you won't be confused anymore. Before we start, I want you to think of one person, just one, the one who messages you out of nowhere, the one who laughs a little harder at your jokes, the one who somehow always knows what's happening in your life. Sign 1 is emotional priority, and this is one of the most reliable indicators of hidden attraction because it shows up in behavior long before anyone is brave enough to use romantic words. Emotional priority means she gives you a level of attention that goes beyond politeness or convenience. She remembers small details about your life, things you mentioned casually, your deadlines, your preferences, your worries. She checks in without being prompted. If something important happens to you, she wants to know how you are feeling, not just what happened. This is not accidental. Our minds naturally organize people by importance. And when someone rises to the top of that list, they receive more mental space, more empathy, and more care. You'll notice it in how she listens. She doesn't half listen while scrolling her phone. She asks follow-up questions. She reflects back what you said. She notices changes in your tone or energy. If you seem off, she senses it. That awareness comes from emotional investment. People don't track your inner world unless you matter to them. You may also notice that she makes room for you even when she's busy. She replies when she can. She circles back to conversations. She finds time, even in small windows. That's not about availability, it's about choice. Everyone is busy. What matters is who we make space for. Emotional priority also shows up in protection. She becomes supportive when you're stressed, encouraging when you doubt yourself, and steady when you're overwhelmed. She wants you to feel okay. That desire to regulate your emotional state is deeply personal. This is why emotional priority matters more than flirting. Compliments can be casual. Attention is intentional. When someone consistently gives you emotional presence, they are already attached on a psychological level, even if they're still calling it just friendship. She finds reasons to stay connected, and this often shows up in small, seemingly harmless interactions that don't look romantic on the surface. She might send you a random meme, share a song, ask an unnecessary question, or bring up something you talked about days ago. None of these things are urgent. None of them are required. Yet they keep happening. That's the point. When someone is emotionally drawn to you, they look for excuses to reopen the door to conversation without having to admit why they want to talk. You'll notice that the contact feels spontaneous but consistent. It's not always deep or dramatic. Sometimes it's light, sometimes it's brief, but it keeps restarting. This is a form of emotional tethering. She is maintaining a connection thread so you don't drift too far out of her awareness, and she doesn't drift out of yours. This behavior is driven by attachment, not boredom. If she were simply being polite, the communication would fade naturally. Instead, she initiates. She checks in. She revives conversations that already ended. Even when there's nothing specific to discuss, she creates a reason. That effort matters. There's also a subtle vulnerability here. Reaching out exposes her to rejection, even in small ways. So she wraps it in casualness, a joke, a random thought, a simple, "How was your day?" It feels friendly, but underneath it is a desire to stay emotionally present in your life. You may also notice that she reacts quickly when you pull back. If you become quieter, she becomes more active. If you take longer to reply, she finds something new to send. That push and pull reveals investment. She doesn't want the connection to weaken. People don't repeatedly initiate contact with someone they feel neutral about. Staying connected takes energy, intention, and emotional space, and those resources are only spent on people who matter. Her jealousy leaks out subtly, and this is one of the clearest signs of hidden attraction because it usually happens without conscious control. She doesn't accuse you. She doesn't demand explanations. Instead, it shows up in soft questions and quiet shifts in tone. She might casually ask who you were with, seem unusually curious about other women in your life, or grow slightly distant after you mention someone new. On the surface, it feels harmless. Underneath, it's emotional territory being activated. When someone is just a friend, your romantic life doesn't register as a threat. But when feelings are present, even unacknowledged ones, the nervous system reacts. She may become quieter, shorter in her replies, or suddenly more attentive. Sometimes she tries to mask it with humor. Sometimes she pretends not to care, but something changes. You might notice she compares herself without saying it directly. She asks what you like in a partner. She comments on someone else's appearance. She makes light remarks that carry a faint edge. These are unconscious attempts to locate herself in your world. She is trying to understand where she stands without risking rejection. This kind of jealousy is not dramatic, it's restrained. It lives in micro expressions, timing, and energy shifts. She might bring up your schedule more often. She may start initiating contact after hearing about another woman. She could become warmer, as if reestablishing her presence. What's important is that this reaction isn't strategic. It's emotional. Jealousy appears when there is perceived competition for connection. If she truly saw you only as a friend, your attention going elsewhere would not affect her internal state. So, when you notice these small changes around your interactions with other women, pay attention. That sensitivity reveals attachment. It shows that even while she acts friendly, part of her already sees you as someone who matters emotionally. She mirrors you, and this is a subtle but powerful sign that she's secretly into you because it's almost always unconscious. Mirroring happens when someone begins to adopt your speech patterns, gestures, or energy without realizing it. She might start using similar phrases, laughing at the same points, or even matching your posture. It doesn't feel forced. It flows naturally. The mind does this when it is attuned to someone, when there is a genuine desire to connect and resonate on a deeper level. You may notice it in small ways first. Her gestures might subtly match yours. Her tone shifts to match your emotional energy, or she repeats certain words or expressions you often use. These aren't coincidences. The human brain tends to sync with people we are drawn to, aligning body language and speech patterns as a form of nonverbal connection. It's a way of saying, without words, I am in tune with you. Mirroring also happens emotionally. If you become excited, she becomes more animated. If you're quiet or reflective, she softens her energy. This isn't conscious mimicry. It's a reflection of her nervous system responding to yours. People don't do this for casual acquaintances or people they feel neutral about. There's no emotional investment driving it. Even her humor might align with yours, her reactions might match your pacing, and her timing in conversation feels intuitively in sync. These patterns create subtle closeness that often goes unnoticed but is incredibly telling. When someone mirrors you consistently, it's a sign that they are drawn to you on a psychological level. They are attuned, engaged, and invested, even if they continue calling it just friendly. This level of unconscious connection rarely exists without deeper interest. She softens her boundaries with you. And this is a clear indicator that she's more than just friendly because it shows she's gradually allowing you closer to her inner world. Boundaries are how people regulate their emotional energy. And when someone slowly relaxes them, it signals trust, comfort, and interest. She may start sharing personal stories she normally keeps private, talking about her fears, dreams, or past experiences. She doesn't do this with everyone, and the fact that she chooses to open up to you indicates that she values your presence and judgment. This softening is rarely dramatic. She doesn't throw caution to the wind. Instead, it's subtle. A lingering gaze, a slightly longer conversation, a willingness to discuss things she usually avoids. She may invite you into spaces that feel private, like late-night texts or sharing moments that are meaningful to her. She's not crossing boundaries recklessly, but she's testing the water, seeing if you can handle this closeness without judgment or distance. You may also notice that she allows physical proximity more than with others. She might sit closer, brush against your arm casually, or linger in shared spaces. It's not aggressive or overt, it's gentle, natural, and often unnoticed by anyone else. Emotional vulnerability is another sign. She might laugh at her own mistakes, admit insecurity, or express feelings she wouldn't usually voice. By doing this, she's showing you that she trusts you with parts of herself most people never see. People guard themselves instinctively, and only those they feel a connection with gradually get access. This softening of boundaries is her way of letting you in without having to declare it. It's consistent, subtle, and deeply revealing. And it shows that even while she may call it friendship, emotionally she is already moving closer. She shows up consistently, and this is one of the strongest indicators that her interest goes beyond friendship because consistency requires intention, effort, and emotional investment. Flirting or casual attention can happen sporadically. It's easy, fun, and sometimes even performative. Consistency, however, demands that she stays present even when it's inconvenient, boring, or unremarkable. She doesn't reach out only when she needs something or when there's excitement. She reaches out when life is ordinary, when you're stressed, or when there's no apparent reason. That persistence is revealing. You may notice patterns in her presence that feel deliberate. She remembers to check in on you after big events, follows up on things you mentioned, and reaches out even when she could easily ignore the moment. She invests time and energy in maintaining the connection, and that's different from casual friendliness. She doesn't vanish when life gets busy or when other distractions appear. She circles back, even subtly, to make sure the connection remains active. This behavior shows emotional attachment. When someone is just being polite or casual, they only appear when it's convenient. When someone truly cares, they make themselves available in small, consistent ways. Texts, calls, check-ins, or even in-person moments are repeated without fanfare and often without needing acknowledgement. They are expressions of underlying interest. You might also notice that she notices your absence. If you go quiet or pull back, she initiates more. If you share successes, she celebrates them. If you share struggles, she supports them. This responsiveness isn't random, it is pattern-based. She is emotionally tracking you and staying present, not out of obligation, but because she genuinely wants to remain a consistent part of your life. She gives you special treatment quietly, and this is one of the clearest signs that she is secretly into you, because it separates you from everyone else in her life. She may act friendly toward many people, but with you, there's an extra layer of attention, patience, and warmth. Her tone is softer, her response is longer, and her focus more sustained. These small differences are often subtle, almost imperceptible, but they create a unique emotional space that exists only for you. You might notice that she prioritizes your messages over others, remembers details about you that she forgets for anyone else, or offers support and encouragement in ways that feel intentional. She may forgive small mistakes or awkward moments more readily than she would for others, or show understanding when she wouldn't with anyone else. This is her way of signaling, unconsciously or consciously, that you matter on a different level. Her patience is another indicator. She tolerates your quirks, listens without judgment, and accommodates your moods in ways that aren't necessary for casual friends. Special treatment doesn't mean she's overbearing. It's often quiet and consistent, showing that she values your comfort and connection more than the approval of anyone else. Even her energy shifts around you. She may be more playful, attentive, or present than she is with others. She creates moments that make you feel noticed, appreciated, and understood, often without drawing attention to it. What makes this sign undeniable is the comparison. Everyone gets generic friendliness, but the people we care about deeply receive more thought, effort, and presence. When someone treats you differently from the rest of the world, subtly, consistently, and with warmth, it's a clear indicator that she already sees you as someone emotionally significant, even if she continues to call it friendship. Consistency matters more than intensity, and this is a critical sign that her feelings go deeper than friendship because it reveals genuine investment rather than fleeting interest. Intense attention can be exciting, but it's often temporary and unpredictable. Real attraction, especially when someone is trying to appear just friendly, shows up in repeated patterns over time. It's in the small, steady ways she engages with you, even when there's no drama, no urgent reason, and no external reward. You might notice that she checks in regularly, remembers details from past conversations, and follows up naturally without being prompted. It's not flashy, it doesn't demand attention, and it rarely makes a show. Instead, it's the quiet presence she maintains in your life, the habitual ways she creates access and emotional connection. This consistency signals that you occupy a stable, important place in her mind, even if she doesn't say it out loud. Patterns are revealing. Does she reach out after long gaps? Does she circle back to conversations you started? Does she show interest in your life repeatedly, regardless of her own schedule? These behaviors are reliable indicators of emotional attachment. She may still claim friendship, still act casual, but over time, the repeated actions accumulate and reveal a truth her words may hide. Consistency also shows itself in emotional reactions. She celebrates your successes, notices your absence, and responds when you are down again and again. These aren't one-time gestures. They're patterns that indicate ongoing care. The key is that true feelings are rarely one-off or sporadic. The most telling sign of hidden attraction is not dramatic intensity, but steady, predictable attention that persists over time. When someone consistently makes you feel seen, cared for, and important, it's undeniable that they feel something more than friendship. So here's the truth. Attraction isn't always loud. It doesn't always announce itself with grand gestures or bold confessions. Often it hides in plain sight, wrapped in patterns of attention, subtle behaviors, and consistent care. She may call it friendship, she may act casual, but the signs are there for anyone willing to observe carefully. Emotional priority, subtle jealousy, mirroring, softening boundaries, consistent presence, quiet special treatment. All of these are pieces of the puzzle. The key is not to chase or pressure, but to watch, notice, and understand. Patterns speak louder than words, and over time, they reveal the reality of someone's feelings. When someone repeatedly invests energy, attention, and care in your life, even while acting friendly, it's because you matter to them on a deeper level. So instead of doubting, overthinking, or waiting for a dramatic confession, pay attention to the small, consistent signals. They are the clues to understanding her heart. Real attraction doesn't disappear. It shows itself quietly, persistently, and unmistakably, even when she's trying to keep it hidden.